We're talking football at this precise stage in the proceedings. It's the international break. And here's one for you, Danny. Should England internationals who are continually snubbed by Southgate take drastic action in the form of retirement? Now, the reason I ask you this, Rio Ferdinand on his podcast Vibe with Five feels Sterling and James Ward-Prowse should consider retiring from international football. Why? Because they were left out of Southgate's latest squad, a squad, of course, in which Henderson was included, in which Phillips was included. This is Rio.
I would be, if I was Sterling, very disappointed. But bearing in mind what he's done for this England team when he's been in and around it, if you're going by the yardstick that Gareth's using with the likes of Maguire and Phillips. Why is it all right for them guys to get in and not him? If I'm people like Ward-Prowse and that, I just retire. Say, listen, don't pick me no more. No point. It's disrespectful what you're doing. It is to people like him. People, especially Ward-Prowse, who's been putting up numbers and his team on a regular basis. Like, what more has a man got to do to get a sniff? Do you know what I mean? Like you say, Sterling's probably been the main bright spark at Chelsea. Then it's just nuts.
Now, I would suggest that Ward-Prowse, considering retiring, is a bit extreme, to say the least.
Yeah, I think it's a very individual thing, depending on where you're at in your career and how strongly you feel. I mean, I remember Carragher giving it up in the end, but he'd been involved in England squads for years and never got first choice because of all the brilliant centre-halves, but he'd give it a hell of a crack, so it was understandable. I think you'd be silly to cut yourself off from the squad because both players, unlikely for Ward-Prowse, and I do understand what Rio's saying. I'd be fuming if I was Ward-Prowse. And you're looking at some of the players who's picked ahead of him. It's a joke. It's a really poor decision, that one, I think. But why would you cut yourself off from the squad or the relationship with Gareth, knowing that a couple of injuries could leave you an opportunity to be playing in the European Championships in the summer?
Yeah.
You know, things in football change. I remember the World Cup I came home from when I'd done my metatarsal. I only went as a replacement for Stevie. I then got injured. Trevor Sinclair replaced me and ended up starting most of the game, starting against Brazil. Mm. You know, so what was Trev going to do when he didn't get in the squad? Call it a day? Because, he's got him, he's a young lad, he's ahead of me.
Yeah.
Next thing, he's got a phone call, he's over.
You'd only retire if it hit your ego. You'd be like, no, I can't possibly have that.
I think there's other reasons, but yeah, mainly. But I think the other reason would be trying to maintain your level of physical fitness and quality of your game to stay in your club side. I think that's fair.
Yeah.
You know, if you're playing at a really good level. But yeah, I wouldn't...
This is too extreme from Rio, isn't it?
It doesn't sound the utterings of a nailed-on winner, does it? Don't get what I want, jack it in. Is that what a winner is supposed to look like then, Rio? Because you've been the one that defined what...
Well, he's talking about Ward-Prowse. I don't think he's saying Sterling should jack it in. But...
Well, whatever he's saying...
He mentioned Sterling.
He mentioned Sterling. Now, I can understand some of the nuance of what he's saying, because by one yardstick, there is no benchmark for Harry Maguire being in the squad based upon his current performances, and you're seeming to deploy different standards to the opportunity for Raheem Sterling. There's also been squads in the past where people have questioned the validity of Raheem Sterling being in that particular squad because of his current form. So, in the instance that Rio is suggesting, I mean, this constant ideal of what you think you're entitled to and what you think is disrespect is a bit childish and a bit silly. If you don't get picked because the manager doesn't pick you, it's got nothing to do with bleeding disrespect. It's got everything to do with someone's choice. It's not disrespectful to not choose somebody. It's disrespectful to say on air, I'm not choosing him because he's bleeding useless. That would be disrespectful. Not to pick someone is not disrespectful. There is context to the validity of his opinion, because but you look at it and say, in Maguire's position, they don't have this embarrassment of riches to select from.
No.
So that's the reason why Maguire keeps on getting lucky to some extent. But even if that were the case, I think he'd still pick him. But the Raheem Sterling example that Rio is making, I think, is a fair example. But it's not.
And Ward-Prowse.
And Ward-Prowse is not an established international footballer. He's been in and around it. He's a peripheral player. His performances at this moment in time. If he had been a mainstay of the England squad, which Raheem Sterling has been, and has earned his space, he's just Johnny come lately.
Yeah,
how many caps he got? 5,
I would have thought
6?
Rio would have gone down there. I agree with you, Simon. Rio maybe should and would, I would have thought, gone down the road of someone like Ward-Prowse will look at this. And from exactly what you said, from that standpoint, Danny, I'll do my utmost utmost to be in Germany next summer.
Well, I think
I'll make Southgate notice me.
Yeah, but I think what Rio's doing is he's transferring himself into Ward-Prowse's mindset and feeling his frustration and thinking, I would want to knock it on the head.
Yeah, but that's not a winning mentality.
It's
I mean,
not.
explain why Rio's not a coach or a manager.
I'm not
Because
suggesting it is. I'm
conveying that
suggesting
sort of,
what
that
where
wisdom
he's
is relevant is silly. It's a silly example. A winning mentality is you overcome adversity. Not you only get what you get. You only win when you get precisely what you want. Ward-Prowse has no God-given right to be in that squad. If Gareth Southgate's got a blind spot for him right now, keep on playing at a certain level.
Yeah.
That blind spot will soon evaporate because Gareth will listen to the background noise from the media.
I don't think Ward-Prowse would be thinking about it too much.
I wouldn't have thought so. It's
No,
a strange set of observations, but Rio's obviously has his reason for wanting to make them. And of course, if they gain traction, there's the reason why he makes them.
Well, Southgate actually, just on I know we've got to go to a quick break, but Southgate was talking about this one pivot and two pivots in some bizarre football language, pivots instead of holding midfielder, attacking midfielder, whatever words you want to use. And I don't think he sees Ward-Prowse as a holding midfielder or can play that role.
But do you? Would you?
Well, he can.
Do you think so?
He can. Well,
he can. But does he? But one thing being able to do something, it's another thing being able to do something really at a high level.
but when he played Phillips, who's the comparison? Why is Phillips in a Ward-Prowse when he's not played for a year? He played as more advanced in Gareth's team than a holding mid because he was talking about replacement for Deck. Who would play for Declan? Henderson's in the squad. He can play instead of Declan. He played for Liverpool for years as a holding
He's busy
midfielder.
growing the game in Saudi Arabia. He's got other things.
But he's still in he's still in the squad side.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.